That's it. Welcome. Welcome to welcome to Taboo Chronicles. This is Roberta, the Tool Lady. I have two marvelous ladies with me. I'm gonna go ahead and pass the mic and let them introduce themselves. You want to go?
Jackie, the Wellness Advocate, co-host for the Taboo Chronicles Podcast. And then we have a lovely guest returning tonight.
Shanette McNeill, certified personal trainer and life coach, and live host of Mama with Autism.
All right.
Yes. Perfect.
Love that.
So glad you could join us.
I'm excited. I love you.
All right. Well, before we get started, a lot has happened in the last couple of weeks. We have a new president-elect, which I think we did discuss a little bit last time you were here, Shanette.
Yeah. I think it was right after he was elected, right?
Right. Right. So we have that. We have the holidays. We have a lot going on. There's a lot going on with the end of the year. This seems like it just goes like this. We're looking at 2025. So I'm saying all that to say that what our title or what we're going to be talking about, our topic tonight has a lot to do with possibly some things that people may want to change around in their life. Because we're going to be talking about communication and boundaries.
Yeah.
So, hey, if you hadn't set any in yet, any new goals for yourself, you might want to stay tuned because we got some action packed for you. Yeah. We got some things you may want to implement or apply to your life, right? Because communication, we all got to communicate, and boundaries, definitely we all need them, right?
Yes, for sure.
So before we get started, let's go ahead and check in. Let's go ahead and do an emotional check-in to see where we're at emotional. I'm going to go ahead. Let's go ahead and let our guests go ahead and let us know where she is tonight first.
Yeah. Emotionally, where am I tonight? Emotionally, I am open. Okay. Now, last week, not so much. I was extremely emotional. My grandfather passed in August, and his birthday was December 3rd. So I had a lot of mixed emotions around that. But today I feel good. Today I feel open to receive. Today I feel open to let go. Today I feel open to everything that's, available to me.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's amazing. Yeah, it was hard because he was one of those. He's one of those people that when you lose them, you lose them. So it's been hard, really wrapping my mind around the fact, you're really not here. And I don't know if it's that I'm still in that denial part of grief, or I'm just really refusing to not accept it as reality, right? Yeah. But eventually I have to.
Yeah. And I think it's just living, right? Because I can relate to that. April.
Thank you guys for all the prayers. Appreciate it.
Yeah. April was always a hard month for me, kind of similar situation. It's something you usually celebrate with them, right? And like you said, if he's anything that counted, definitely you had some journey. You did some journeying with him. So you did some birthdays, some holidays. You did some celebrations with him. So yeah, you're gonna miss that. And so that's noted that. Yeah, those things count. I mean, they do. When you find people who celebrate you, I think Jackie and I share this all the time. We find people that celebrate life with us. That's a pretty big deal because everybody don't celebrate life. They'll be like, "Oh well, happy birthday," but it's another thing to know.
Right.
I'm for real when it comes from heart, like happy
Yeah.
birthday. Like, you count, I count, we count. We're in this universe together. We're in this world together. It's a different deal. It really is.
Yeah.
So
And then,
I think,
I celebrate my 31st birthday in 2 weeks, God willing. Like
okay,
2.5, a little over 2 weeks from now. So it's like, mixed emotions.
Oh,
okay.
happy early birthday.
Right. You got
You
birthday
know,
coming up. Yeah, you got that's a lot of
That's a
milestones.
lot of emotions. This a lot of stuff all at once.
because the thing was, I was excited and ready for 30, and 30 like gave me a whole bunch of KOs and knockouts. Like 30
I
came in
laughed
like
because the
boom,
same
boom,
happened to
boom,
me.
boom, bam. 30 was no joke.
Right. All
Woo!
right. Jackie,
Well,
you ready to check in?
Yes. So mentally, emotionally, I feel like it's the holidays at this time. November, December are really hard on me without having my mom. It's been 7 years, but still it feels like it was yesterday. And then with everything else going on in my personal life, then today is Anthony, my oldest birthday. So I
oh,
actually had yesterday with him, took him out to go to Peter Piper's Pizza, kind of like Chuck E. Cheese, right? So
mhm.
he had a
Mhm.
blast, and I really, really love the fact that he was like, "Mom, this was one of my best birthdays." He's like, "Thank you so much for my Legos." He's like, "You got me Legos." So he was very happy. And when I tell you, it was the simplest thing ever. It was the simplest ones, but it be the simple ones that I think the kids enjoy the
Oh,
most.
for
And I
sure.
think when I think back on birthdays, I remember the simple, small ones versus the big ones that my parents would have for me.
Yeah.
So a lot of emotions.
Right.
Just because today's the day of, and I can't, I'm not with him. That I don't know if I've even mentioned it on here that to our audience of going through a divorce and everything. It's a lot, and it's a lot with work being busy at this time, and there's a lot of expectations and a lot that's being asked of me, and I'm like, I'm trying my best, like I'm trying my absolute best that I can to kind of be the person that I was when I first started, but it's just been a lot of things that it's just been that happened all at once. New job, separation, divorce, like all the things. It's a lot. So, but just getting through it, really.
No, you're gonna grow through it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We want to grow through
Yeah.
it. We don't just
Yeah.
want to go through it because we don't want it to just be
Yeah.
in vain, right?
Yeah.
It's an experience that's going to be
Mhm.
a story for someone else
Mm.
if you're open, when
Right.
you're open to share it. It's an
Yeah.
experience.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Definitely
Right.
something.
Yeah. Life,
Life is
yeah.
life.
Oh,
That's right. That's
with
what I was gonna say. Touche.
all with all capital letters and a cape on it and all.
Right,
Yes.
right. And I think everything is so momentum because through life there's a journey through life that you have, right? And so starting with birth on to death, and then as humans we just
Yeah.
we all encompass all of those things as we go, and that's with loved ones, with ourselves. We go through all of those things.
Mhm.
So definitely some life changes, some big life changes. I can remember being 20 and like messing up everything, and then 30, like trying to clean up everything, right? Now I got to clean it up. I got to clean it up. And that was
Mhm.
everything. So and being a little bit more rigid with myself because my 20s was just like I was riding the waves. So actually, I started to ride the waves as a teenager. So if I was to be honest with it, but yeah, that it is. Those are some landmarks and, like I said, some
Yeah.
milestones and some growth.
Mhm.
And growth hurts. Growth is very painful. I'll tell you that.
Very uncomfortable,
It is. It
unnecessary.
really is. It
Yeah.
is. It's
Um,
very uncomfortable.
I've I've learned to in my adult years, I've compared those growing pains to conception, conceiving a goal or a vision, and then now you have to nurture it and you have to go through the process of actually, you know, bringing this vision or this goal to life. So you give birth to it. So I
Yeah.
like to say that, every few seasons we go through a period of being, we're conceiving something. And
Right.
when we get to that point, that 9-month mark, it's time to give birth, is where the labor comes in. You have to put in all the hard
Mhm.
work and, brace yourself. And you just got to know that it's like when you're having a child, you're not going to sit there in delivery and say, no, this is too much. I'm not having this baby today.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like, come hell or high water, this baby has to come out of here. And you want it to happen safe and you want it to happen smooth. So I
Mhm.
apply that concept and logic to my life because it's like, yeah, I love my child. When I'm bringing it into the world, I'm making sure that I'm going to give my all, that when it
Right.
comes, I'm ready. So it's like when you have that vision and you're going through that labor process, when it's time. You start to feel the contractions. Everything starts to shift around. People start to move around. You start to lose people. You
You
start to
do.
feel differently about the things that's happening around you, or the conversations you're having. Then I'm bracing myself. There's no epidural. This is natural. I just gotta
Yeah.
straightforward head first.
Yeah.
So
Game,
yeah,
big game time. Games,
yeah,
game is
yeah,
on.
yeah.
Um,
No turning back.
yeah, yeah, the game is on, and I'm involved. I'm a main player in it.
Oh
Um,
yeah, you don't get to pause those contractions. So you just gotta push it
uh,
forward.
yeah.
How are
Now,
you doing, Roberta?
yeah. Now for me, I'm exhausted. It's been raining. The sun barely came. I think it peaked out like a couple of hours today, but for like the
Mhm.
last 3, 4 days, it's been raining. It's been dreary here. It's been cold. So basically, when I got home, I was like, okay, I want to take a nap. And then I looked at the time. I was like, okay, but if I take a nap, I'm not going to want to get up. I got to be realistic. So I need to stay up.
Mhm.
So I'm just a little tired, I think. I mean, and then
Yeah.
as you ladies said, I worked with a young lady by the name of Miss Douglas Marshall
Mm,
Wright. She passed away about a week ago. And this afternoon, I was talking to one of the supervisors where I work at, and I
mm,
was sharing with her. This is actually my first because I was just thinking about when have I ever experienced this? And to be honest, I've never experienced a coworker dying. So this is my first time uh, actually seeing someone one week and then the next week coming to reality that she's not going to be here anymore. And
Mhm.
it's really just like the weather. It's really a damper on how I feel
Mhm.
today. I really feel that way that it's a damper, but like I said,
yeah.
it is part of that going through those milestones. And I couldn't imagine, how our family feels because basically, of course, my condolences and my heart with them. But I can certainly say, because I remember arguing and just saying little things to her, even on up until she took off this last time. So it's really mind-boggling how uh, we can be here uh, and then be gone, right? and then transition into whatever. Now, I've never died before, but I want to hold it out as a transition. So I want to
Yeah.
say, because I don't like when people say you lost such and such. I ain't lost nothing. I'm a believer, so I believe
Yeah.
I'm gonna get back with that person. So they know lost. That's just something that has been promised to me that
Mhm.
we're gonna be dying. So that just that transitioning, so we can be all be transitioning. That's what we're living closer to, not to bring the damper of the outside inside to the show, but we all are living in our days that we don't really know, and that's
Yeah.
for everybody. So we
Oh,
need to all be mindful of that, and encouraged to live our best life. I'll say it that way, for lack of
yeah.
word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Do your best. Love, do your best. Enjoy your life.
Yeah.
Because, hey, this is it. This is your
Mhm.
show, right?
One shot.
That's
Yeah.
right.
One shot.
Yeah. So this is your show, right? So,
Yeah. So sorry for your loss, Roberta.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever experienced that either. And there's different types of losses that I think all of us right here are experiencing, and
right.
it's crazy that
It
that
is.
I
tends.
did back in Yeah, I did back in November. I was working with this lady, Virginia Jeannie. She was good on Wednesday, and then Friday she was gone.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so
Crazy.
surreal. She was fine. We were doing all the yard work. I was helping her do all this stuff. And one day she was in a lot of pain. Took her to the hospital, and then they said, they found a mass, huge
Oh,
one, and she was like, I'm at that age. I'm not going through all of that. And right.
Mhm.
And she kept saying, at this point, I don't think I have any more purpose left in me, anyways, and everything else. But what I admired most, and I told her this before she passed, I was like, you're always saying you don't think you have a purpose, right? But I
mhm.
Mhm.
watched this woman, even knowing that she only had a matter of a few weeks to live, every day she was still like trying to meet goals and trying to get this done and trying to get that done and trying to get this done. And I'm like, she has literally been given one of those things. I wanted to call it like a blessing and a curse, right? Because we all
Mhm.
don't know when that time is coming, so we can't even prepare for it, right? She
Right.
literally knows that her end is right here. And instead of just going, it is what it is, gonna die anyways, whatever. No, she woke up every day and still had a goal. And it was so crazy because we laughed about how much we were so much alike. It was insane how much alike we were. But I'm watching her and I'm like, to the very end, she is going to still keep pushing for goals. And I'm like, you have people that have little
Yeah.
mishaps happening in life, not life or death. And it's just like, yeah, throw the whole goal away. Yeah, I'm not working out anymore. Oh yeah, I give up on this. I'm giving up on that. And this woman was literally walking her way to death's door
Right.
and wouldn't give up. And I told her, I said, you have inspired me on a new level. I'm always a driven person. I'm always pushing, but watching her in those last final days were just like something surreal. And
Yeah.
then, saw her the
Yeah.
Wednesday and then the Friday she
Yeah.
passed.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you know what? I think that's how we ought to live. Because the
Oh
truth
yeah,
is, although someone has not told us, we really don't
it
know.
is.
The
That's what I
reality
always
is we
tell
don't know.
everybody. Treat
And
every
so
day like
we
it's the last.
That's right. And so we should treat people that we love that way, people that we interact, because that's our
Hmm.
purpose. That is
Yeah.
our purpose,
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. She
and
had she died with her kids next to her.
yeah,
They were there. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
She died with her kids in the room. They
yeah,
watched her. She went away in her sleep. She
yeah,
stayed asleep.
yeah. And you'd be surprised who is watching, because like I said, the young lady who passed, I was watching. I was like, okay, I need to get my clothes to match. So you'd be just surprised what
Yeah.
qualities people observe and really admire about you. you just be surprised because I'm not a person that match everything. I don't have that. But I used to watch her like, okay, I need to match more. I need to put my stuff together a little bit better, you know, because every day I promise you she had it together, even her hair, her nails. And I can't promise you that. I really can't. You might see me one day and and hey, it may be just some jogging pants and some boots and a t-shirt and I'm okay with it. You might just have to take 2 or 3 looks at me. But you just be surprised how people admire different things about you. I think everybody has qualities. All
Yeah.
right. Well, ladies, I thank you guys for your sincere emotional check-in. It was quite interesting that we all, like Jackie said, are going through some type of grief process. And then, like Shanette said, she was saying, I like that you said you equated it to birth, and I actually like that you even put in some of the things that happen because that is true. We end up losing people, we lose circles as we go through this shedding process, and you're right, and even before we even go into how birth things start, because I can remember like after my 3rd month, I wasn't cute no more. It just was not cute. You know, everybody, congratulations. I was miserable after 3rd, 4th, about 4th month. I was not, it wasn't cute to me. I wasn't excited no more. It was like, when is this going to be?
About month 6.
Yeah, well, it was for me, it was month 3 because I would just fall, especially with my last child. I could just step outside, I'd fall. I just did looking around, I fall out. And so he kept me on the ground. So I was like, when did this go in? And are you okay? Okay. And I'm like, you know what? I'm so done. I'm over this pregnancy because this pregnancy right here, I don't know what kind of kid I'm having, but it don't matter what I'm doing. I'm gonna be pushed down on the ground.
That
So
is funny.
and that's a true story. I could just be doing anything, and she on the ground, hold it down.
That
So
is the first I've heard that side effect in pregnancy.
right. Well, they
That's
say it's
funny.
like, is it your iron? It was something
Mhm.
because he had me. My doctor had me taking those things you
Oh, so
take
yeah.
for your
I think my mom experienced that when she was pregnant.
antacid. I was taking these antacid. He said take a couple a day and chew on some crackers and stuff just so you can keep your equilibrium together. Because I would just fall out. And I was over it. By the time, like I said, if you say 7 months, no, I didn't even make it. I was done. And I was like, I don't know what kind of
Right.
baby, but I couldn't quit, right? I was already in the game. The game had already started, so I had to see the game through, and even when they strap you down, or they don't do it anymore, but when you get in that bed to have the baby, that is the most intimidating thing. And you like, can I get up? No. The baby's coming. Well, can I walk around? No. You like, I'm stuck here until the baby comes. So all of those things are really kind
Yep.
of what we go through with life. You get like, oh,
Mhm.
can I do this? Can I make myself a little bit more comfortable? No, this is what you got. This is what you do.
Or in my case, I kept telling them that I was ready, and they kept saying that I wasn't. And then, mind you, the whole time I was there, I was mentally ready to push. From the time they told me I was having this baby, I was ready. They kept delaying me, saying, you're not ready yet. It's probably going to be like another 10 hours. I'm like, "Psh, this baby is coming now." They finally decide to check my cervix, and then the doctor goes into this panic frenzy, like, "Oh my God, you're fully dilated. I need you to get ready to push." I'm like, "No, no, no, I'm not ready anymore. I was ready before."
Right, right. You had me scared.
I'm not ready. Time out. Yeah, I have took all my confidence.
Right,
No,
right.
because I was so set on going natural that I was just like, yeah, this isn't lasting 12 hours.
Right, right. But won't life do it though? Sometimes you'll self doubt
Mhm.
And sometimes
Yeah.
confidence is like, man, maybe I can't do it, or maybe I'm not strong enough for this.
Yeah,
So yeah, won't life do it?
but it was beautiful. And I ended up going natural.
Yeah. Now someone said that I went out to the hospital. Well, yeah, right.
But
And they're like, oh, that's her again. That's her again.
uh, yeah,
That's
my
her
mine
again.
happened so fast. It was crazy.
Yeah. Now, ladies, let's get into our subject because I think it's pretty loaded. Communication is one of my better topics. Boundaries is big too because I didn't know I had them
Hmm.
because I didn't know what they were. I'm just being honest. And then I figured out, oh, I've always had those a little bit. You know, had a really idea that they should be. I guess I should say.
Hmm.
Um, so let's talk about communication. Communication, it's pretty loaded. What
Yeah.
is it that is important with the communication?
I think when I think about communication, I always have to remember to listen to understand, not listen to respond. I've always had been the person like, no, I'm gonna say what I need to say right away. I don't care what you said, but I'm gonna
Hmm.
respond and not process. But I'd learned to just listen to understand, to process it, and then say something because I'm very passionate. I'm just a very passionate person as it is. So when it has to do with something that I care about a lot, like mental health or community engagement, or it has to do with my kids, like, or my well-being, like, I'm real quick, like, no, I'm gonna say it and you're gonna listen to me, and I don't care, how it comes out, it comes out. But I've learned to just sit and listen and then respond. Um, and that helped a lot, just for me to understand. Oh, there was, it does help to just first process it and then say something, not just
Hmm.
say something right off the bat. But that's really like with communication, like the first thing that I think about is because a lot of people don't listen to understand; they listen to respond. Especially if you've ever met a person that's like, I'm right, you're wrong, I don't care what you have to say, I don't care if you tell me that the sky is blue, it's not blue. So there are a lot of people like that. But that's like the first thing that pops up to my mind.
The first thing that popped that was good because that is definitely key. I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is the level of effectiveness, like how effective is this communication, and then the comprehension level. Because I think that a lot of people lack the ability to comprehend what you're saying, depending on what space they're in mentally or emotionally. So they might hear you to feel like an attack, or they hear you to feel like it's coming from a place of judgment, and they don't necessarily receive what you're actually trying to say. So I think
Mhm.
that making sure that the communication is effective is when you are able to identify who the person is, what space they're in before you give these words. Because if I can recognize that this person is not in the space to receive what I'm about to say, I generally just don't. I let them talk and I just don't even bother because I know that in this moment I'm going to either waste my time or it's going to become a conflict. We're going to begin to argue and you're going to get defensive. And now I'm having to re explain and trying to get you to hear what I'm saying without it being a conflict, right? So I think that for me, before I communicate, I have to assess the person, the situation to see how effective this is going to be and how you're going to comprehend this because comprehension is key, right? Because sometimes the message might be right, but depends where you are, you're just not going to comprehend what the person is actually trying to say to you. Because if you're in victim mode, everything's an attack, everything's judgment. If you're in a mode where you feel like you're just always right and you know it all, nothing is going to sound like constructive criticism, right? So you're just flat out not receiving anything that you're supposed to get out of the whole conversation. So for me, it's the effectiveness of the conversation and how it's going to be comprehended on both ends for me and that person, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I said communication can be is a loaded, it's a fully loaded conversation because to be honest, I even thought prior to hearing you guys view, I was thinking more on the in the area of a person that allows a lot of people to say things to them that is either inappropriate or they are not able to stand up for themselves. So
That's
they
the
don't
key.
know how to assertively communicate to let that individual know, hey, that's not where we're at right now. So I thought about even, more of that. That's how communication, that's the variousness of communication. Because like Jackie's saying, the listening part, listening, not to respond. And then Shanette was
Sure.
saying, Shanette, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. She
Yeah,
was
you said it right.
saying, yeah, she was saying being aware of their comprehensiveness and also the effect, how effective you are according to where that person's at. So then my part is I'm thinking of, like some people just have a problem even being assertive and even speaking up for themselves. And then, or even being able to communicate, I don't like that. I didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
And some people feel real guilt about even saying it. If it's a sister, cousin, a friend, whatever. It could be a mother-in-law, father-in-law. I didn't like it. I didn't like it, Roberta. I didn't like it. It makes me feel like this. You say, well, what did you say? I didn't say anything. Well, why you didn't say anything? I don't know. So and so that's even where I felt the communication is, as far as how people also communicate themselves,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you
A lot of people.
mhm,
Yep.
because you do have people who are defensive or they don't know to listen to respond. And I think the tools that you guys actually kind of cleverly gave out some tools, and if people were listening, they really because they really actually those tools take time to get tuned up,
They do.
because
Mhm.
those are tools that you can have. They take a while, because for one, you can be caught debating or arguing with the same person over and over about the same thing. But the truth is, either they're speaking out of being defensive, so they were already, like Shanette said, already they were already at a point where they're not going to listen. They're not
Mm-hmm.
even open to it. And then the other thing, you could be speaking to someone who didn't even understand. I remember a supervisor of mine used to always say, Roberta, use words that meet them where they're at. They can understand. So that was even another way of saying they can't comprehend what you're saying, Roberta. So you need to say something that is more on their level so they can
Mm-hmm.
comprehend, to expect to get that outcome that you're looking for. Because you're not going to
Mhm.
get that outcome if you use the words that you're using. Even sometimes, some people, it's the tone you're using, right?
Mm-hmm.
You might not be able to get it. It's unfortunate to say, but you may not, and it may be a nice tone, and you may not ever get that from that person because you have not you're not aware of that person, and how they're where they're at that time.
Mhm.
I do agree with you that communication is so wide because especially I wanted to share when you speak on the communication and boundaries, right? There's another aspect of communication where the unapologetic side of me leans there a lot because it's like, hey, if I recognize that this is just your pattern and you are going to continue to do this thing, there is no need for me to one, listen, because now I have a boundary. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to take this on. I don't want to be a part of this circle. So
Mhm.
that's a part of communication that I think a lot of people don't want to tap into because they feel
Yeah.
like they're not being there for the person or they're not being supportive. And it's just like, if I love you, there comes a point where my support has to look like me taking a stand for you. Since you
Mhm.
don't want to take a stand for yourself, I now have to take a stand for you by taking a stand for myself and creating this boundary that I cannot keep listening to. Like, I can't, because I love you. There becomes a point where I'm going to internalize these feelings and these thoughts, and I don't want to. And I don't
Yeah.
want to give you advice on it anymore because you're not taking them, you're not applying them, you're going to do
Mhm.
what you want. So now I'm going to freely allow you to go do this thing. When you
Yeah.
are ready and you really do want to get away from this thing, then we can have this conversation.
Mhm.
But in all means that, and people used to get offended because my favorite line used to be, honor yourself, whatever
Yeah.
that looks like. You don't need my permission to honor yourself. So if honoring yourself means that you're going to keep doing this thing, by all means, don't sit here, because I
Yeah.
found that people they start to lie and they're hiding that they're doing this thing over and over. And I'm just like, I am not God. You owe me nothing. Honor
Yeah.
yourself. If you want to keep doing this thing, keep doing it.
Yeah.
Just
That's
don't
right.
expect me to be a part of the process with you. When you are
Yeah.
ready to get off this train, I will be there. But
Right.
until then, honestly go through this process because I feel like you just have to. You got to learn the lesson, whatever the lesson is that's in this situation. You got to get it.
Mhm.
So go
Yeah.
by all means, go ahead.
That's
Right.
those boundaries. Like also like with that is also like repeating yourself. You keep
Mhm.
telling the same person over and over again, whether it's something that you need or that you're wanting from them and they are not doing the thing, whatever that thing is. Like, it's like, fine, I'm not going to say it no more. I've already said it.
Uh-huh.
You've spoken about it. You said you understood. And
Silence.
that's it. So next time that you say something about that, I'm going to be like, oh, I don't know. Because by that time, I'm checked out. Like, we've already talked about this, and that's just my boundary because I'm not going to keep, what is that saying? Keep beating a dead horse. Like, I'm not going to do it. I
Yeah.
refuse to do that. Like, I've already told you, and I'm not going to repeat myself. We've already had plenty of
Right.
conversations.
Mhm.
And I think that's where that social emotional intelligence comes in too, as well.
Yep.
Like, are you really emotionally intelligent to understand what it is that I am telling you or that I am expecting of you or want from you
Yeah.
as well?
Yep.
Mhm.
No, that is so true. That's when you got to hit the
So
silent
then
mode.
Yeah.
that's when I
Yeah.
was about to say
And
the
it is an
silent mode,
intellect battle,
or
in boundary.
I lower my expectations. I've learned to
That
lower my
too.
expectations. I'm like, I've
That
lowered my
too.
expectations. So when that person's like, hey, what's going on? I told you what I said.
And the funny thing about life is, those people that don't respect your boundary, or you have studied their pattern, you know how they are, right? And then when they say certain things, I don't know if I say the word friend, it might be a loose, yeah, I can't say friend. I've had an associate that I was friends with for years. We grew up together, and in a dispute, she felt like she was checking me by saying, if you don't notice, this is why I don't keep my word to you. So in return, I said to her, if you didn't notice, I had zero expectations
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
because I know your pattern. I've seen you do these things over and over. So I had none. So you didn't hurt my feelings by telling me that. All you
Right.
did was reveal yourself to me. I
Right.
already thought
Mm-hmm.
that you were doing this on purpose, but you just confirmed it. But I had no expectation. So you're not hurting me.
Yeah.
But
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
if anything, you just hurt yourself and you probably just lost a friend. But
That part.
yeah,
Right. But and that's what I see. I just say, well, you know what? If it's something definitely I can't deal with as far as a boundary, but I've always been big on boundaries, and like I said, I just didn't know what they were, because I believe everybody has a position, and that's just always been in my head. Like
Yeah.
everything has a place, and if
Yeah.
everything has a place, just like you put your dishes in the drawer, you put your, once to dry, your silverware in the drawer, you put your dishes up in your cabinet, you put your shoes in your closet. So
Mm-hmm.
everything in life has a position. And
Mhm.
so I think the whole issue is that people do feel guilty when they do have to say no, or when they
Mhm.
do have to set boundaries. They feel like, I'm doing something that's going to mess up this relationship. But the truth is that relationship is already tainted, because if
Mhm.
you are the one that has to be the giver and the understanding one, and you letting them cross over into your position, then you're the one that's neglected. So it's not really like their, like their relationship is the greatest anyway,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yep.
because it's not. It's working on that other individual, and not you. And
Mhm.
so what happens is, like I said, with that, it kind of goes along with the communication, when you feel like, oh, I'm always the one that gets treated this
Mm-hmm.
way.
Mhm.
But the truth is, it's because you're allowing it.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And so you can take ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
I allow this behavior to go on. And
Oh yeah.
and it's okay to say, like Shanette said, I don't even have an expectation, because that's really how I am. If I let you
Mhm.
have money, I don't expect it to come back, to be honest with you. That's just where I am. If I don't have it, I'll say I don't have it and leave it alone. If I do, I'll give it to you. And I'll tell you why. Because I feel like that if you do it expecting something, it's almost like, if I do something for you, you're gonna do it for you're gonna always have your feelings hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, because that other people are not operating the same way you may be operating.
Wow, it's so key that you say that because, again, in that same relationship, it was always this expectation for me to do things. And my answer was always no. And then once they made a remark and was like, well, you're not the friend that you call for this or that or that. And in my mind, I was just like, that means I am doing my job. That means I have made this crystal clear that
Right.
I am not the person you call for every single thing. I am just not that friend. Call me for life or death. Call me for really, really important things in life. But do not call me for everything. Do not call me to just drive you down the street or anything like that. My first response is always, what would you do if I wasn't available? Tap into that. And
Right.
that may just be a cultural thing, like we talked about in my last life. That's a cultural thing for me. It's never my first resort. Go ask this person, rely on this person. So the people in my life, I make that very clear. Do not make me your first option. I
Yeah.
can't be.
Yeah.
Because if I say no, you cannot be upset with me because I don't like doing anything I don't feel like doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm genuinely a person that has to go off how I feel in that moment. If I don't feel like it, I'm going to be very upset if I force myself to do something and then it doesn't turn out right. And then there's this rift and this wrath,
Mhm.
and then no one's going to take accountability for what happens when you drag me out of my house and something happens that I didn't want to deal with.
Yeah.
So therefore, I hold myself accountable to that, to just say no if I don't feel like it. If I don't
Yeah.
want to, I'm not going to. I don't call on people as my first resort. So please give me the same in return. Do not call on me as your first resort. I'm big on people creating solutions.
Yeah.
Find the solution first. Try to figure it out. And if you honestly can't figure it out, you can ask for resources or something. But do not just believe that everyone is obligated to jump to your aid all the
Yep.
time. Like
Yeah.
it's just unreal. It's an unreal expectation because everybody
Yeah.
just cannot meet that.
Yeah.
Just can't.
Mhm. And some people just don't understand that.
Yeah.
Some people really, really think that when they say jump, you should say how high.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of people like that in my life, and it was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I got bills, like you got bills. I got kids, like you got kids. Like you cannot expect me to come to your aid at any given moment, you know? And like Roberta said, if I have it, I'll give it. But if I don't, I don't. And don't take that personal and don't get upset about it. But I had a lot of people that would get mad about it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
sorry,
Right.
like I'm like I helped you plenty of times, and this one time that I cannot. It's a problem. It's an
Yeah.
issue. Okay,
Yeah.
now I really see what kind of person you are. And my famous saying that I love to say, and my mentors, like my big sister, now I tell them, I'm like, I'm gonna love you, but now I'm gonna love you from afar because now I don't want that around me. I don't want that around my kids. Like I
Yeah.
just don't need that. And that's that boundary, right? Like I'm real, real good. And I tell people all the time, I'm real good to cut people out of my life.
Yeah.
Oh
Real,
yeah.
real fast to cut it. Because
Yeah.
I'm just not dealing with it. And this idea or this notion, like, that you should have like all these different people and friends and surrounded and
Mhm.
with 30, 40 people for your for dinners and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm good with my people I can count with my two hands. Like I don't need no more than that because I know that those friendships are genuine, those family relationships are genuine. Everyone else
Mhm.
is my friends can kiss my ass, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's just how I am.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because even with communicating that type of boundary, and because I've had that happen where I'm like the person was going through some things, and they're like, I don't want to burden you every day calling you to tell you about it. And I say, here's the thing, right? Because it was something serious. So I know there was a lot of emotional struggle going on, right? So I
Hmm.
clearly said, listen, in this moment, being a shoulder in the air is all I can offer you. So feel
Yeah.
free to utilize that because this is the type of support I can give to you in this moment. But that person wanted me to attend and assist and do other things. And I'm like, I already told you I don't have the capacity to do that. So it's not on
Hmm.
me that you don't want to take the offer that I have for you. But don't make me the villain because you don't want what I'm offering. You want me to give you what I don't have. But I simply cannot give you what I don't have. And I cannot give you the little that I do have that I'm trying to
Yeah.
add to for myself. That's
Right.
not
Yeah.
fair to me and it's not fair
Yeah.
to you because what's going to happen
Yeah.
is I'm going to give it to you and it's like a cup that's half empty and you're pouring, nothing's coming out but drain. So now I'm frustrated because the little energy I have, I'm having to give it to you and I'm having to try to give some to myself. And this doesn't become an effective way of help at all because I don't want to help you if I'm going to be angry after.
Right. Right. If you have some resentment, right? And
Yeah.
some people, and I guess that's where I was gonna go to as well. What are some kind of outcomes happen when you don't set your boundaries? What happens to you when you don't set your boundaries? What are some things that you guys may have experienced in your past that when you know for certain you didn't set your boundaries or boundaries were blurred? What are some of the things that you feel like you've experienced or someone could experience?
Anger and regret.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because there was once where because ever since I started driving I was big on that. My car is my car. You do not pay my car insurance, you do not help me with my car maintenance, so therefore my car is not for your assistance at any given time that you need it. It's for me, because if something happens to my car you're going to look at me like, oh, well, it's your car so you fix it, right? And the one time I went outside of myself and was just like, okay, it's late, I will take you, whatever. I go to pick the person up, they're not even ready. I happen to park on this block where it's just this miserable person that like to look out their windows and call the tow truck. I wasn't even blocking their driveway, I was at the tree. They
Hmm.
called, got my car towed. This is in the
Wow.
minute. This is about 9, 10 o'clock at night. My car is towed when I come outside. I had to
Hmm.
walk to the police station, find out where my car was totaled, pay 200 and something dollars because I needed my car to go to work the next day. And everyone's just looking at me with the long faces. So I just say out loud, listen here, don't nobody call me for nothing. I don't have a car. Don't ask me for nothing. Don't ask.
That's it. But you know what? That's a
Because
good.
my car wouldn't have been towed if I didn't come out here.
And
My
that's a
car was
good.
home and fine, and nobody could offer me anything. And then when I said that, the person had a nerve to respond to say, "Am I directing that to them?" I said, "Excuse me, did you give me money to get my
Right.
car? You know I'm out here for you, right? So yeah, it's directed to you and everybody. So public service announcement. Don't nobody
Right.
ask me nothing.
Right. Right.
It's
PSA.
enough.
And
No.
that
It's a
and
PSA.
that's a really good one. I
It's
love
enough.
that's a really because that's good.
So angry.
Yeah, that and it's true
No.
because you don't people don't count in like, oh, can I use your car? Well, it's maintenance, it's wheels, it's the whole bit, it's insurance, it's a whole bit. So what part? Yeah, you gas. Wait a minute, gas is just $30. That ain't even a drop in the bucket for all of the things I just mentioned.
Mhm.
So I'm doing myself a big dishonor if I'm where's the what's
Hello.
bigger, what's it called when you used to have to do those math equations, what's bigger and smaller, if I'm
Yeah,
looking at
greater than or less than or equal to.
yeah, I'm not you applying any of that if that's the case.
I
Mhm.
um
used to tell people friendship will not pay my bills
the
and it don't fill my tank.
well,
So it makes no difference to
especially,
me.
yeah, especially if it's not mutual and there's not
Exactly.
Yup.
respect for your
That part.
I can't call you for the same in return. So it's just like the uneven. And then, real quick, I want to say this too about communication and boundaries. On the spiritual aspect, I've just always been big on. You could call me out here in this moment. And whatever I come out here to, I could have missed it. But because I came out here, I listened to you, I came out here. And now I'm in some whole other thing that I knew my spirit told me not to
not to
come
do.
out here.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember when me and my husband first moved in together, and people would call him and they're like, "Hey, can I pay you to do this? Can I pay you to do?" And I used to say to him, "Let me tell you something. Ain't no money worth it. When you are in the house, let nobody call you." That's something my grandparents, just from growing up in Jamaica, that was always big. Don't let nobody call you outside your house, because we had a thing called people can call you to your death. People
Yes,
can call you to your dismay or your downfall. And I used
that's
to tell,
right.
listen, if you already home, don't matter. No,
That's right.
can't do
Oh,
it. Ask them what
oh,
would they do if you
that's
didn't have a car?
why. That's good
No.
word right there. That's good word. Cause you know
So,
what? Cause people do that. Oh, my brother called me. Oh, my cousin want me. And it's just calling you, like you said, out your home, out your peace, out of
Mhm.
I
your.
have seen so many people leave their homes because somebody called them and lost their life,
That's right.
or
That's
ended up in
the word.
trouble, or ended up in some deep
Some
stuff that if
mess.
they would
Yeah.
have just said no.
Yeah. And then out of an obligation where there was no boundary anyway. Because
Hmm.
if that person already knew, okay, well, I know Shanita has this going on. I know Jackie has this going on, this going on. Why would I call Jackie at midnight and tell her, come on over here? That right there tell you there's no respect to boundary.
Right.
And then the other part is what could you be doing at midnight or whatever that what possibilities, what are you into? You know what I'm saying? That I have to
Yeah.
abruptly make up this instant thoughts and do these
Yeah.
instant gestures. Right.
Yeah.
So that's some situations and it's
Yeah.
real. It's real.
Yeah. I think that the real down part of communication is that people pleasing.
Yeah, people
I was
please.
about to say it's the yeah, and I'm a big people pleaser. I say I'm still a healing people pleaser. I know that's always been one big thing for me. But I've learned, and I've learned like to
Mhm.
take a step back and realize, oh no, there I go. I'm going back into giving but not getting. No, no, no. I'm like I'm not gonna do that. But back to what you asked, Roberta. One thing that happens when you don't respect your boundaries is you give too much. You give too much, and then you're the one that's drained, and you're the one that's like for me, I'm gonna put it in perspective at work. Staying late at work when you said you weren't gonna do it, and taking work home when you said you weren't gonna do it, and all these things. So then the ask becomes too high, and then then you can't handle the ask, and you're burning out.
Mm-hmm.
And there goes the anxiety, and then there goes the depression. Like everything just starts trickling down. So it really, really matters to keep your boundaries, to take care of
Mm-hmm.
yourself at the end of the day. And like
Mm-hmm.
I said, if you lose people along the way, then you lose people along the way, because people are either for a reason or a season. Like they I think it's great when you have people that you've known from childhood, because I do have a few friends that I've still kept since elementary, middle,
Mm-hmm.
and high school, and they're my best, like my sisters. And we may
Yeah.
not talk every day, but we if I hit one of them up right now, it's that no time has passed. So, those are the people that are genuine. Friendships go through all the ups and
Mm-hmm.
downs and everything that you've gone through, and respect your boundary, and respect and listen when you're speaking to them, and vice versa. You give each other the same, you know,
Mm-hmm.
amount of respect and time. And I think that's really what it's all about. As you get older, you can't expect everyone to say how high when you say jump. Like you can't
Mm-hmm.
do that. That's called growth, and that's called being grown. That's, leave that to
Yeah.
kids that are still learning.
Exactly.
What it is to communicate. We're adults, we're grown. You if you haven't already learned, like, it's still not too late. But I can't be one to try to teach you. I can give you the resources, because we have to kind of learn on our own. Because what tends to
Mm-hmm.
happen, if you try to correct someone, if they say, "Oh, well, teach me," or "What am I doing wrong?" then they looking at you sideways, like, "Oh no, you're not right. I don't like what you're saying." Then why'd you even
Right.
ask me for it in the first place?
Yeah.
Now I'm like, no, mm-mm.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Well, what I know is that with communication, some people don't even want to know. They
Yeah.
don't. They don't want the answers, especially those. I used to be in ministry, and still quasi is, and I'm quasi in ministry. But uh, I used to be in ministry where we'd go out and pray for people, and my number one deal was like, why are we praying for the same thing over and over? You could see a person on Tuesday, and then next Tuesday, it's the same prayer. And you're like, wait a
Mm-hmm.
minute, why has that prayer not changed? Because it should be a shift, right? So
Mm-hmm.
then you see where that is not just situational, where it's actually something that they're part of, like a relationship that's bad. You're part of that. You're
Yeah.
part of that relationship that's poor. So there's no shift in it because you're part of it. So you just can't keep
Mm-hmm.
asking for the same thing over and over. You got to do something to change it. Um,
Action is to follow.
Yeah.
right, right. And so many people don't want that. They basically they're in situations and relationships the way the communication is ineffective, unassertive, and then their boundaries are poor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it goes hand in hand, actually, because you can go against a person's intellect by saying something to them that's inappropriate. You know, that's the intellectual boundary. Or or even an emotional by saying things that are not correct to them.
Yeah.
Stupid, you're ugly. All of those things are going against your boundaries, but
Mm-hmm.
people really don't realize, okay, I'm stuck in this situation where I'm
Mm-hmm.
not putting up my boundaries. And it does make them have some regret, some shame, some guilt, some anger.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching one Tubi movie not too long ago, and it was called Boundaries something. But this lady definitely went and just killed. She just started killing everybody. By the time they did the movie, she was ready to kill everybody. But it was on boundaries, and it was true. Because if you don't speak up to for yourself, then you do feel like you're overlooked, you're not worthy, you're worth less than what you are.
Mm-hmm.
Boundaries are a way to increase your worth.
Yeah. one of the key things I think in communication and boundaries too is discernment as it pertains to like relationships, whether it's intimate relationships, friendships, spouse, whoever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tend to, I'll use the dating world for example. You have two people, they meet each other, they say they're dating, right? No one communicates their expectations during this dating process, right? Everyone just starts having assumptions because we're going out or we're hanging out. We're in a relationship. And then there's these expectations for this person to like cut ties with everybody and everything else. And it's just like, well, was there a understanding that we are now exclusively dating or that we are now in a full relationship or are we still just dating? And I
Yeah.
think, you hear a lot of people saying the dating pool is trash, and it's trash because everyone's going into it not dating. Everyone's in a full-on relationship after 2 dates. Like
Right.
I literally hear people calling people in-laws, and I'm just like, what in the world?
we,
Hold on. Don't
we're
you need to
gonna
be married for that?
we're gonna have to pick up on that another time. We're glad to have your guests to come back
Yes.
talk about relationships because that's a big one with me as well.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
dating people don't know how to date anymore, so that's a
Mm-hmm.
good one. But it is time for us to get out of here, guys. We really appreciate everybody that joined us tonight. We hope you
Thank
enjoyed
you
and
guys.
you learned something, you picked up something.
You.
You're worthy to have communication. You're worthy to assertively communicate for yourself. So should save you from some shame, regret, some anger. Start setting in those boundaries. Start getting ready for this
Yes.
new year. All right, and
Mm-hmm.
we love you all. Follow us on Facebook. You were on YouTube. Are we on
YouTube.
YouTube? YouTube
Yes.
and
And
Instagram.
Instagram. And then follow Shanette at
Happiness,
unapologetically, right?
happiness
Happiness
LLC. Yep.
All
LLC.
Yep.
Yes.
On
right.
Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube.
So
So this is
come on, follow us out. Follow us out. We love you and good
Thank
night.
you.
good night.